Hey everyone, so thank you so much for tuning in for yet another PitchGround webinar, product-driven webinar, where we have all of these awesome founders who have built some incredible products, and we're going to be talking about different use cases. We're going to be talking about how you can get started with all of these products, and we're going to talk about how you can use these products to boost your business productivity and generate more leads, more business for yourself. With us, we have two Adams. So before we even get started, do you want to share the stories between how you guys met?
Yeah, absolutely. So hi, everyone. Great to meet you all. The two Adams on the call, so two for the price of one, or doubly confusing, depending on how you want to look at it. I'm Adam Musa, the founder, and then we've got Adam Jackson also on our call, who is our commercial manager. So I founded the business in 2017, very, very late 2017, so closer to actually 2018. But and so we kind of started actually predominantly in the professional sport industry. So we work with a lot of kind of still larger sort of sporting organizations, sports teams, and then even some leagues and federations as well. Kind of all the way from like the Premier League down to sort of Australian professional sport as well. And Adam Jackson was actually a client of ours, which is a funny story. So he actually used to work for one of the kind of major broadcasters actually around the world as well. Adam, if you want to mention the name, you can feel free. But so Adam actually used to work for us as a client. He liked the product so much that I actually poached him to join the team. So great story in terms of actually kind of understanding where you guys are. Adam's been there. He bought the product himself. He loved it so much. He used it for one of his clients, and then he decided to actually join us. So probably the best testimonial that I can never think of.
Awesome. Adam, you want to add something to this?
Yeah, sure. So I was at Bein Sports for 2 years in Australia, but with an Asia Pacific remit, and there was a demand from my side, from my clients and the brands that I was working with, that they just wanted that additional data capture element to some of their activity. And I looked around the internet, searched to try and find a good enough solution, and stumbled across Campaignware, and the rest is history. 2 years later now, I get to spend my day working with brands, broadcasters, sporting organizations, and helping them to kind of to create interactive content, capture data, and kind of nurture those audiences into kind of sales, fans, and customers.
Awesome, fantastic. I think you guys pretty much have a great story out there. So Adam, you want to go ahead and share your screen and share the presentation before we dive into the product?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, cool. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Are we good to start, or are we going to wait a little bit longer? Just let me know how we go. And
no, we can get started.
Yeah, no worries. Sorry. So hi everybody. Again, just to kind of quickly introduce myself, I'm Adam, the founder of Campaignware. Thank you very much for joining us today at 10 proven ways to grow your email list using gamification. So again, you've kind of heard a little bit about our story and how we started. We're really excited to be able to share with you today what we're what we're about, and that's some of the things that we've learned. Kind of having run thousands of campaigns, and now also kind of grabbed millions of data points now for different types of customers. So just to kind of give you a quick introduction to ourselves and kind of what we'll be talking a little bit about today. So we'll be providing a little bit of a primer on what zero-party data is. It's essentially kind of a new term, or zero-party data, I should say, fairly new sort of term that's kind of going around, and kind of something that a lot of people are talking about. A little bit of an extension of what maybe people would have called first-party data before. So we'll be talking a little bit about that, sharing a little bit about trends and information about kind of how gamification and different types of interactivity have kind of subtly infiltrated every aspect of our lives. Things that you may or may not even be aware of, but we'll kind of be talking a little bit about that. We'll be talking a little bit about sort of kind of what comes post Apple sort of cookie apocalypse and things along those lines. Again, for us, the answer really is zero-party data, and kind of how do we do that? How do you actually kind of capture it? What are some of the strategies that we use and some of the strategies that our clients use? Again, when it comes to our client list, we've got a very sort of large and eclectic mix, all the way from sort of very large TV broadcasters, kind of running thousands of millions of views on TV shows, and then integrating our platform directly into it, all the way through to very small, medium businesses. So we've kind of covered a huge range of industries and that kind of thing. So we want to really share with you exactly how that works, and even sharing a couple of case studies and also some of the actual kind of 10 best campaigns that we've seen, the 10 most common campaigns that we see that kind of tend to work almost every time. So we're really kind of excited to be able to share that to you with us today. Again, just kind of really quick introduction. So obviously myself, I'm the founder and CEO. I tend to wear kind of more of our head of product hat in our team. I'm also a former instructor at General Assembly as well. So I actually have quite a good background of education and teaching as well. And then sort of Adam Jackson kind of comes a little bit more from the sort of partnerships and commercial aspect as well. He used to work at Manchester United. I never hold that against him. I'm a Manchester City fan, but that's okay. He doesn't really support those guys, but that's a little kind of joke that we have internally. And then also, kind of from a couple of sort of very large publishers as well. So we have a pretty good background between us. I will just say also before we get started, it is about 3:30 a.m. in the morning for us, so we might be a little bit rusty. We're definitely going to do our absolute best to be able to kind of talk to you, but we might seem not quite as sharp as we actually are today. Before we kind of get started, I just want to sort of give everybody a bit of a primer in terms of what zero-party data is and kind of why it's becoming a bit more important now as well. So a couple of kind of key stats to talk about, especially when it comes to sort of marketing to whether you want to call them millennials, sort of Gen Z. Obviously, there's kind of a differentiation and a split between those two. I guess one of the kind of key things there is that, we are still finding that, even according to some fairly good stats and fairly good sources, for example, SendGrid, Gen Z are still responding best, kind of even to email marketing, social, and then SMS, kind of in that order as well. A lot of people seem to want to think that email marketing is on its way out. It's not quite as good as engaging to kind of sort of younger audiences and demographics. We still haven't really found that to be the case. Email marketing still really does work, which is great news for all of us, right? Because that's something that as marketers we're always still trying to do. Slightly more responsive than millennials, but still very much responsive, which is kind of really good there. So one of the kind of key things that we have learned from there is that for Gen Z, kind of controlling that marketing message is really, really key. So being able to kind of, for them to worry about the data that's collected about them, obviously that's very key. And that's a very hot topic for all of us right now, how the data that's being collected about us, how that works. Are we using that to kind of train algorithms? Are we using that to actually, kind of in transparent purposes so that we know that exactly where that data is going and how it's being marketed to, and how we're being marketed to, I should say. That stuff is all still super important. And then obviously sort of, kind of using content marketing is still really, really key as well. And that's sort of obviously a core focus of what we do. So before we get started, before we get into the actual content, I just wanted to do a really quick show of hands for everybody. So I'd just love for everybody to kind of jump into the chat and sort of do this with us. So I just love everybody just to kind of say yes in the chat for us to who's currently investing in actually growing their email database or any kind of database for that amount, whether it's in CRM, whether it's an email database. If you guys could just kind of drop that into the chat, just raise your hand. It'd be really good for us to kind of know who's actively trying to do that at the moment.
You guys can just drop in a yes, so this way we know that those are your struggles. So that way,
or even just raise your hand. Yeah, cool. Okay, that's really good to know. Francisco, to know, really keen to kind of understand what you're trying to do there. But we can definitely kind of chat about that a little bit later. Cool. All right, guys, that's really good to know. Thanks for that. Whoops. So out of all of our yeses here, who's currently trying to sort of work towards GDPR or CCPA or any of those other kind of sort of regulatory requirements at the moment? Has anybody decided to kind of move into looking and assimilating to those sort of data privacy acts? Again, if you could just raise your hands for us, that would be really helpful. Yep, definitely agree there, Praful, that any business should be trying to grow their database. I couldn't agree more with that. Yeah. Show of hands, guys. Anybody trying to go to GDPR, CCPA? Even if it's a no, just drop in no as well. We're really keen, really curious to hear. Okay. Interesting. So is anybody looking at options for sort of, kind of moving into sort of cookieless products? Again, this sort of obviously depends on what type of a business you are. Some of these may not be entirely relevant. Some of them may be a little bit more relevant than others. Cool. And then how about sort of gamification? Who here is actually looking at and exploring options for gamifying or creating more creative marketing campaigns? Quick show of hands for that one, guys. Yep, cool. Good to know, Prashant. Thanks for that. Anybody else interested in gamification and sort of kind of adding a little bit more of a creative aspect to their marketing campaigns? Yeah, I agree there. Right. So what you said there, Praful, that is a simple way to be able to involve customers and get connected with people. Absolutely. Cool. So we'll just we'll jump a bit forward and sort of kind of move into the next part. So yeah, I guess we can probably skim over a little bit of the GDPR stuff, but it's still definitely become useful because the thing with GDPR, CCPA, and those kinds of things, they're obviously here to stay, and they're only going to become more and more widespread and more common throughout the world. So it's definitely something to kind of be across and something to sort of look towards and look to actually kind of be able to assimilate sooner, because eventually it's going to happen for all of us. I think that's pretty much a when, not an if type scenario now. But talking about zero-party data, and we'll talk about the different types of data that you can capture, because obviously you've got most of you here today to be able to actually grow and to generate an email database or even any kind of contact list, right? It's very important to know how you're actually kind of capturing that. So there are kind of 4 ways to be able to do that, right? Starting with the very questionable, and then kind of getting all the way to sort of like your gold standard now, which is zero-party data. So third-party data is really kind of where you start. And that's if you're buying, sort of email lists, or if you're using, sort of aggregated public or non-public data that hasn't necessarily been given with consent. So if you're buying an email list from somewhere, that's essentially what we call third-party data. And that's going to become harder and harder to do now. And especially if you're marketing to people in Europe or marketing to people in California and things like that, this is going to become significantly harder. It's going to have cost penalties as well. Then we've got what we call second-party data, which is where essentially you have contractual permission with another vendor or another partner to be able to share data. Again, we'll give you a couple of examples of this in a second, but yeah, second party data is kind of, I guess that's what we're sort of referring to there. First party data, again, this is kind of where zero and first party data used to be sort of blended together. Now they've been separated and kind of called into 2 different terms. So first party data is, again, sort of data that we collect directly about a company and customers when they interact with the brand. And then zero-party data is essentially when a consumer has willingly and actively given that data to you. So they've ticked a big box to say, hey, I'm happy for you to be able to contact me. And you guys would have seen that in thousands of forms that you filled out. But here are some examples of what we're talking about when we're talking about all those different types of data. So we've got what we call third-party data, which is, again, as I mentioned to you before, using data aggregators, sort of a Cambridge Analytica type thing, email list purchasing, things along those lines. This is going to become harder to do. Obviously, you probably will know, we've seen this as well, the data quality cannot always be that great. It's always better to ask for that data directly, because then you're getting the absolute best data that you can, which of course is zero. So yeah, third-party data is going to become harder and harder to do, and obviously sort of less and less best practice, really. Second-party data, again, is sort of corporate partnerships. So if you're working with another company in conjunction, sometimes you'll have seen this when you're filling out a form. You'll have a box that says, yes, I agree to receive marketing communications from company A, and then another box underneath it to say, I wish to receive from company B. Things like that, as an example. Affiliate agreements, things along those lines, cookie-based data, all that kind of good stuff. First-party data is now what we refer to kind of on-site data, purchase data, loyalty programs, things along those lines, where you're still capturing that data directly from the consumer, but there's less of a sort of an actual opt-in there that's kind of received to be able to do it. And then we have what we call sort of zero-party data, which is competitions, interactive content, surveys, things along those lines, which is what Campaignware really specializes in. It's being able to give you the fastest and easiest way to be able to capture zero-party data, which again is the most true and the most sort of integral part kind of data, because your user is actually directly giving you that data. Cool. So just to kind of touch a little bit again on sort of GDPR and things along those lines, and I totally understand that people are not super interested in that here at the moment, but I think it is just definitely worthwhile kind of just at least glossing over, because if you are marketing to people in Europe, then really GDPR does apply to you whether you like it or not. If you're targeting or you're talking to anybody in the European Union, if they're in an email list of yours or whatever, you absolutely should be looking at this, because you can still get fined, and the consequences can be really steep. It's not something just for big businesses. Obviously we've heard about big companies like British Airways and Google and places along those lines that have been kind of caught out for different breaches. For Google, for example, they got charged 50 million euro. British Airways got fined 200 and then they got reduced to 23 million. Things like that kind of happen. But it also happens to small businesses as well. And this is the tricky thing about GDPR, right? Is that it doesn't discriminate. Small businesses and big businesses, they're all liable for it. So, for example, a tiny little company in the UK, DM Design Bedrooms, someone that nobody's ever heard of, really, they got fined £160,000 for making 1.6 million unsolicited phone calls. Right, things like this happen now. Lifestyle, like Mother and Baby Limited, again, just sort of a company that's designed for pregnant ladies, for when they're having their first kids. They got fined $140,000 for giving free pregnancy advice and then reselling their information. This stuff happens now, guys. So if you are marketing in the EU, or you've got customers there, this stuff is super, super important. So the consequences can be really, really steep. So it's just something to be mindful of and something to be careful of. Obviously, you probably want to consult with your own with your own lawyers or your own legal advice and kind of receive that. But from what we've seen, and this is something that we've even had to do as our own business, is that we've become GDPR compliant ourselves. So it's very, very important to be able to do. So yeah, just wanted to kind of quickly gloss over that one and sort of go through it. Guys, I do see a few questions kind of coming through the chat and Q&A. I will definitely be taking a break in a second just to kind of answer some questions. I'll just get through a couple more slides and I'm more than happy to make this as interactive as we can be. So when we're talking about gamification, gamification means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, right? And when we talk about gamification, we're not talking about things like, microtransactions, as you'd see, kind of obviously a lot of games right now, AR, VR, which obviously everybody's talking about and has been for quite some time. Big budget campaigns from companies like McDonald's, things like that, kind of creating company crypto and coins and things along those lines, or even the metaverse. The way that we really look at gamification is really just being able to augment your existing funnel and then going to chase the shiny object. So all this stuff here, we kind of really look at as it's all amazing, right? And it's all kind of the next frontier and Web 3.0 and things along those lines. That's kind of where the world is moving to. But the way that we've always looked at things, and our philosophy and our team has always been that if you're starting from zero, that stuff is very, very, very far away to be able to attain, because that's when you can start to rack up serious money in terms of kind of being able to spend to kind of add gamification to your own businesses and things along those lines. It's always great to kind of start small and then being able to kind of work from there. So for example, here, gamification, you'll see here in this GIF that we've got here on the side, that this is a university that we work with. And what they wanted to do here is to help people to find a simpler way to be able to get to a course that they may be interested in. If you've gone through university, I know that I have, when you kind of look at a university website and you don't know what you actually want to study, it can be pretty daunting and challenging. So what they did was they set up a really simple quiz, like 3 questions, just to be able to kind of take you to what your dream career might be and what sort of course you should study to be able to do that, with a data capture there, and then also a link to take you directly to that actual page. Again, it's a bit of a fun experience. You're kind of turning something that might be a lot of text, a lot of website visiting, a lot of reading, into something that's a little bit more interactive, a little bit more gamified. Again, you're matching that interaction to the actual individual. You're making it a personalized experience for them and giving them a personalized outcome. And then you're building the data captured directly into the funnel and into the flow as well. It's a very authentic way of capturing data. Something like this takes them 5 minutes to be able to create, right? And we're going to show you how to do that in just a second as well. So the idea there is that, well, why go after the shiny objects? Why go after the really kind of next level stuff if you're not already doing things like this? That's really kind of where our company comes into play, right? Is that we kind of help people to be able to take that sort of first step and get them from 0 to 1. Then after they're at number 1, then they can kind of go from wherever they want to go from there. Cool. Almost there at kind of our first break point, which we'll be doing there. And we've got a fun little exercise for you guys to be able to kind of run through as well. And then I'll be taking out some time for some Q&A as well. So just to kind of wrap off on here, The benefits of doing this are really, really apparent throughout the entire marketing funnel. Now, generally as a company, we generally kind of tend to do a lot of work, and our customers tend to deploy our platform and product generally top of funnel, but it can work just as well through the middle and bottom of funnel as well. But kind of even being able to talk about the different stages of the funnel, sort of gamification, and even light gamification, if you want to call it that, can be used as a really great sort of first touch, very, very top of funnel, to create that positive brand experience, to get that person sort of, kind of welcome and give them the really, really strong touch point into your brand. Obviously, you guys will all know the sort of marketing about being able to, kind of have those 8 different sort of touch points before somebody looks to purchase. This can account for, sort of 3 or 4 really, really positive ones. Help you to obviously capture that zero party data, help prospects to find the right product for you. In that case here, in that Torrens University example there, they were able to find exactly the right product for them, and then being able to contact somebody about it directly after that as well. You can even use it sort of further down the funnel to be able to build loyalty, things like that, being able to onboard users, and then even being able to provide a key call to action to actually get that person to kind of take the next step into your funnel as well. All kinds of great ways to be able to run this all the way through the funnel. So guys, first exercise for today, we want you guys to actually kind of jump in and try something out a little bit fun. We're going to be posting the results as well a little bit later on, but we've got 2 different campaigns and 2 different examples here that we want to be able to kind of run you through. So we've got one, which we call a digital escape room, one, a really simple trivia quiz as well. So we just want you guys to kind of have a little bit of fun and try this out and see how it works for you, and even kind of get some ideas of how you might even want to apply this through your own funnel as well. So you've got 2 different ways that you can enter. You can either just scan the QR code on the screen now, or we've got the bit.ly link there as well. Adam, maybe if you just drop the bit.ly links into the chat as well, maybe that might be useful. Then that way, kind of anybody can just sort of jump in and click the link directly from there. Would really love you guys to kind of join in, just have a play with it and see how it can, how it actually feels in your own hands and how it'll work as well. But as you guys are kind of entering this, I'll take this time out now to answer any questions that anybody has. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. And we're more than happy to kind of start to answer this while we take this break. Okay, I've got quite a few things kind of coming through. So
while we dive into the Q&A section, which we usually do at the little end, how about we dive into a bit more, seeing how many people are actually filling up the forms right now. Yeah, and at the same time, we keep on talking about it, and then we can dive into the product demo. Meanwhile, guys, if you have any questions, you can drop in the
okay, no worries.
I'm more than happy to sort of take up those questions at the end. This way we don't miss out on any, basically.
Yeah, cool. No worries at all. Okay. So yeah, I'm happy to kind of stick on this page for another couple of minutes, just so that everybody can kind of, anybody who hasn't scanned the QR code or played the game yet, kind of go through. Adam, is that all good from our side? Yeah, cool.
It looks like we've got quite a few more people on the escape room currently. So there's 30 people that have jumped onto that, and we've got 18 on the trivia.
Cool. All right, let's leave that on for a little while longer. All right.
Awesome. Meanwhile, Adam, I have a couple of questions for you, right?
Sure.
While building up forms is great, how do people tackle on one of the most critical issues, which is sort of like pushing up the traffic? Do you still recommend people using typical performance marketing and all of these methods to just keep on pushing the traffic to the form and then people filling up the form? Or would you just recommend sort of like very intelligently sort of implemented across different blog articles, see which one is getting more traffic, and you can sort of start leveraging on it? So what would be some of those recommendations that you would make?
It's a really great question. Really, really great question. So generally what we say to our clients is, the short answer is you're probably not going to know until you actually test the different variations, the different methods, and then sort of see what works best there. So generally the way that it works from our side is that we sort of provide both abilities, right? So to be able to share via your social network, be able to kind of push via social, and then also to be able to embed on your website as well. So from there, you can kind of obviously use different types of tracking to be able to see, you know, kind of where people are actually entering from. You can obviously use Google Analytics and things along those lines to be able to see where people are entering from. But until you actually try it, you never really know, right? Because, for example, if you've got a fairly engaged social following, but a very small amount of traffic to your website, then obviously you're going to want to push that through social first. Whereas if you've got more organic traffic kind of coming through and then a less engaged social audience, then obviously you're going to want to be able to embed it in different blog posts and different pieces of content. And then that way, you know, you're essentially kind of get your followers directly through that way. But long story short, to answer your question, what we generally find is that you'll get out what you put in. So if you're not promoting it well, then obviously you're not going to kind of see the results to be able to like, it's never going to kind of work magically for you, right? So we kind of recommend to clients to be able to actually kind of take a bit of a mixed approach. In some cases, try, you know, kind of embedding, see how well that works without promoting via social, or do the opposite and then kind of see how it works from there. Does that make sense?
Got it. Would you recommend using it on landing pages specifically to sort of, again, filter out and increase the quality of your leads?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's a great question. Definitely. I guess it depends on the content, really, is probably the first and most important thing, right? Is that if it's predominantly a pure form just for data capture, then yeah, absolutely running it on a landing page definitely seems like the smart way to do it. But we generally see a lot of our clients actually pushing it directly into, it might be blog content, it might be, you know, kind of a media page with, you know, kind of videos and things along those lines. So it really depends on the content that you're actually creating as well. Yeah, so that's a bit of an open-ended question, a bit of an open-ended answer, I know that, but we've never really seen a discernible difference between putting it on a discrete landing page or actually integrating it directly into blog content. Our opinion, and my opinion generally, is that putting into blog content and things like that actually kind of works a little bit better because, you know, especially if that content is very conversational, then obviously, you know, using kind of content like this, you know, like an escape room and things like that feels a lot more natural, right? Whereas kind of running through a landing page and things along those lines seems a little bit more sales focused and has a little bit more of that kind of tactic to it. So again, it depends on the content that you're creating. But to me, I think kind of whatever's most authentic and fits most within your brand, or, you know, the kind of the conversation that you're trying to have with that user, that probably makes the most amount of sense. So really, it's just kind of a test and learn. But we always see that, you know, kind of most people will kind of drop it into blog content. That seems to work out quite well. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
There's one question coming in from Ahmad before we move forward. He's asking,
Sure.
is Campaignware multilingual and does it support Arabic?
Does it support Arabic? That's a good question. So Arabic is the one language that we've always looked at trying to add it. So the short answer is yes, it is multilingual. We support 10 languages right now. And I'm actually about to do a demo. It's actually a perfect time for us to do a demo, and I'll show you how we created these two campaigns in our platform. I'm just going to move this tab over in here. But to answer that question straight off the bat, we support 10 different languages, and that includes Spanish, Hindi, and traditional Chinese. Arabic is the one language that we haven't yet added into the platform, but we're able to add in languages very, very easily. The way that we do our language translation is that we get a human being to actually provide us the translations. We never use auto translate or anything like that. So if we have somebody who's willing to actually translate the, you know, kind of we provide essentially a spreadsheet of a couple of different words that we need translated in our platform. If they're able to provide that to us, and we can add it into the platform. Otherwise, we have to go and source a translator and things like that, which is no problem when we've done that before. It just depends on how quickly we want to add that in. So if it's just one person asking, if they're able to provide the translations for us, and we can add it into the platform very easily. If not, then we tend to try and kind of find a couple of other users that want to use it and add it in. So long answer short, we don't have it in right now, but if somebody's really interested in using it, and somebody, you know, can kind of help us to do translations, then we're absolutely happy to kind of add it in. Arabic is a little bit challenging because it's obviously, it kind of works the opposite way to, you know, sort of Western languages. It goes right to left, but that's something that we can kind of work on and something we can add in as well. But I'll show you in the platform itself how an actual sort of multi-language campaign actually works. So can everybody see my new tab on my screen? Hopefully that you guys can see that.
Yeah.
You can see that. Yeah, cool. So what we'll do is we'll just jump into that escape room, just as a really quick example, and kind of show you how that campaign was made. So this is our platform for those of you who don't know and haven't seen it before. Just a really quick demo on how it works as well. So I'm just going to do one thing quickly, log out and log back in. It just hasn't been refreshed in a little while, so just give me a sec, guys. Just going to log out and log back in. So just kind of, as I'm doing that, just to give you a quick primer on our platform as well. We've got about 53 templates in our platform now, all kinds of different things that you can do with our platform, which is really, really great. Sorry, okay. I'm just going to jump between two accounts because there's one feature that I wanted to show you, which is really, really cool, but it's not on our master account, which is what I was showing you there before. And that's our brand guidelines. So when you actually sign up and use our platform for the first time, this is the first screen that you get greeted with. This is where you can actually save your brand directly into our platform so that whenever you create content, you never actually have to do this again. It's really, really cool. You can always modify it and you can always change things per campaign. But what this does is it saves your logo, any background. So for example, you can choose kind of like a background color or even choose from some of our background designs here. Change your sort of button colors, add a font when we've got the whole Google font library in here. Basically what this does is it saves your brand into our system. And then that way, every campaign that you run automatically has your brand sort of attached to it as well, which is really cool. I'm just going to jump in here and jump back into the master account because that's where we created the escape room. So normally when you go in and you create a campaign, here you can see all the different types of content that are available to you as well. Now we've got different types of industries here that are available. So, things like, for example, sport, real estate, venues, HR, broadcast, retail, travel, education, B2B. You'll find that a lot of the content that is available in those industries will be applicable most likely to your industry as well. Even if your industry is not actually kind of named out there, will be applicable there as well. Or you can choose by the goal that you're trying to achieve. So for example, if you are trying to grow your email database, you can click that button and it will filter out all the campaigns that we think are probably best fit for you, or even by the experience that you're actually trying to create as well. So for example, if you're trying to create just a really simple voting tool or a trivia tool, you can kind of do that directly from there as well. So you can choose that. Then just kind of clicking on one of these as an example, you can go in here and actually see a preview of how it works, or even click that button and actually play with it before you even go in and create it. It's really cool. Then that way you kind of know what you're doing before you even actually go in and do it. So just a quick kind of primer on that one. But what I'll do is I'll just click back into edit for the escape room that Adam kind of created. And we'll sort of look at it and see how that one worked as well. So this is essentially the campaign creation side of the actual platform. Here, logo, which is that logo, that big logo right there. It's all white on white, but you kind of realize that that's the one that was in there. He added in a couple of buttons and some links and things like that as well, which will kind of appear there. Background images, he just added some stock blue directly in the back there. And then here you can see, sort of background colors being uploaded and all your font colors and things like that. So you have, kind of really strong control of how all that stuff really works. Tablet and mobile view as well here. So as you can see, and this will kind of take you through the different pages as well, which is really, really cool. So this gives you a really close preview of exactly what your campaign will look like as you're building it. It's very, very cool. Just to answer that question about multi-language. So here you can see that here are the different languages that we have support for right now, okay? So Bahasa, Dutch, German, Hindi, Korean, Malay, Mandarin, Portuguese, Spanish, Thai, Vietnamese. These are the languages that we have right now. We are adding in French as well, probably later this week. So that's one that we'll be adding in. I think we've got our translations for those now. We just need to kind of put them into the platform. So that'll be added in very, very soon. And then basically the way it works from there to be able to language translate is that you can just type your own natural language directly into here. What the translation actually does is that any of the text that's hard coded and hard built into the platform. So for example, if somebody doesn't type in their first name in the form and then they hit submit and then you kind of get the error message to say, hey, you haven't filled out your first name. It's the hard coded translations like that that actually get translated. Everything else, you can just type directly in your native language in the WYSIWYG editor and it will show up directly.
I have a very quick question for you over here. Is it possible to sort of like have a drop-down menu, let's say somewhere on the landing page on the right side where people can actually select the language, where we can have the form itself multilingual?
Yeah, exactly. So the form itself will change into multilingual as well. I'll show you an example of a different language campaign. So, hey, Adam, can you just do me a favor while we're waiting? Can you just ping me a different language campaign just so we can kind of go through it on the demo?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Yeah, so I'll get Adam to ping that over to me. So rather than me finding one, we'll do that. But yeah, I'll just kind of continue with this one really quickly. This is kind of how the quiz is set up. You can see here, it's just a really simple decision tree. It's kind of set up. I won't go through this one in too much detail because yeah, it's quite, this one, as you can see, has a little bit of difference to it. You can actually watch a video on how to create a campaign at any given time. So this purple box here actually shows you exactly how to create campaigns. You can even read the text, or you can even book a setup call here as well. So just so you know, for anybody who does sign up for our PitchGround deal, we're giving them a free campaign setup. So you can actually pick up the call and either me or Adam will jump on the call with you and we'll actually help you to set up your very first campaign, which is absolutely huge. Highly recommend that you guys kind of jump into that one. Then the next one is the lead capture. Here you can just kind of add some description, which could be just why you're capturing data. Just fill out the form and hear back from us. If you're running a competition, giving you a prize giveaway or something along those lines, you can add that text directly in here. As you can see, change the text for the actual button. So if you want to call it, say, submit, enter now, or whatever you want to, you can put it there. Put your terms and conditions and your privacy policy for GDPR compliance. So if you drop them in there, then what happens is that here you can see the privacy policy that will be permanently enabled. And then that way, you do cover quite a lot of GDPR compliance by doing that. The form here, first name, last name, email address, phone number, all that kind of good stuff, you can just select directly from here. So we kind of take out a lot of the hassle in terms of creating your form. And then you can add custom fields as well. So you would have seen a drop-down box from that form that you would have filled out there. Adam just kind of went in and filled all of that stuff out as well. So you can choose between drop-downs, radio buttons, checkboxes, free text fields. It's all available there in terms of very advanced data capture. Cool. Next step from there is just being able to turn on your social sharing. Just so you guys all know as well, we have a major update coming later this week to our social sharing. We're going to be going from Facebook and Twitter to like another 10 different social networks that you'll be able to share to. So that's coming, and that's a free update for everybody. Everybody, even in this PitchGround deal, will be getting that functionality as well. We've got some very cool viral sharing functionality as well. This will probably be really exciting for you guys here at PitchGround. So for example, here you'll be able to actually kind of enable some viral sharing function. And what that means is that if somebody shares a campaign or somebody enters a campaign, they get, for example, like 1 point in the actual kind of campaign. When they grab their unique link and then share it with in their social network with their friends and family, anybody who enters through their unique link essentially means that if first person gets 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15 more entries, however many you set here. So we're actually incentivizing people to share with their friends and family because they get more entries for doing it. Then that way you can actually kind of build a viral loop through it as well. This is really cool functionality and kind of one of our exclusives. Not a lot of other kind of platforms out there do something like this. So that's really, really exciting and really cool as well. Last thing, we're talking about actually kind of putting this in landing pages or putting this into kind of content pages. You can just grab our widget code and drop this directly into your own website or into your WordPress or wherever that you guys live. If you can embed a YouTube video on your website, you can embed one of our content pieces in there as well. It's fully mobile responsive, so it'll automatically fit to that size. But you've got that ability to be able to do that as well. And then the last thing for anybody that is trying to actually generate leads off the back of this campaign, we have an actual lead tracking pixel as well that you can use. So just like a Facebook pixel works, we have our own Campaignware pixel, if you want to call it that. So for example, here, if I write in PitchGround, you can drop this into the header code of your website and then drop this into a page that you actually want to track. Then that way, you know that if somebody actually entered the campaign and then they visited your website, you have that end-to-end data on that person. So you can actually tick them as a hot lead. It's amazing. This is we're the only platform of our kind that offers this kind of functionality. So if you're actually doing proper lead tracking, that is the absolute best piece of kind of tech that you can use to be able to do that. Then final step, your analytics, all available here as well. So it's all kind of fully featured, entries, impressions, all the way through to hot leads using the event tracking code, sort of location data, all that kind of good stuff. You can download your reports at any time as well. Social sharing, again, we're bringing a major update to that as well. You can even add in additional tracking codes. It's either this week or early next week, you'll be able to customize the domain as well of the campaign. So you can actually change the campaignware.com link and actually kind of put your own in, or even buy your own domain and add your own campaigns directly to that as well. So use our platform as its own landing page creator as well.
Adam, I have a quick question for you over here.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it sort of like fits in your vision by any chance or not. Do you think there's a possibility to add maybe some sort of a viral campaign marketing sort of a feature inside the form itself, where let's say that if someone is sort of filling out the form, right, then at that point of stage, is it sort of possible that they can probably share it to people, and that way we can kind of make the form go in a bit of a viral mode by any chance?
Could you just say that again to me? That's okay. Sorry. I don't think yeah.
So what I'm asking you over here is that what happens is that when it comes to viral marketing, right? Viral marketing is basically a way where you make people take certain action, and it's usually social sharing, right? You're trying to add a social sharing feature, but is it sort of a possible way to give them some sort of incentive in terms of point or something that, hey, if you end up sharing it with, let's say, on your social media, and if there are X number of signups coming in further in the form, then you will probably receive some incentives, something like that. Are you getting my question?
Yes.
If you've used something like Clem.io by any chance, have you used a platform like that?
We do actually have a pretty similar template to that. Just give me a sec. So we have what we call a spin and win. Let me just find it for you. Yeah, spin to win. Let me just show you this one and see if this is kind of what you're referring to. So for example, here you can fill out a form. Just gonna fill this out quickly. So see here, so basically what this is like you fill out the form, gives you a GIF of some sort, like on a 7-second delay. And then from there, you can kind of win a specific prize or something along those lines. Is that kind of what you're referring to?
Yeah, but more on the point-based system, maybe. So something like a leaderboard. If we can create like maybe some sort of a leaderboard feature as well, because that basically pushes people, right? So let's say if I'm third, I would be like, hey, I'm going to push it. I want to become number one, right? And if someone is number one, they would be like, hey, let's keep pushing it because I'm already number one. I don't want to like sit behind because the second position is kind of like just 2 points away, kind of like Premier League table out there, So when there are those point systems, there's a leaderboard. The chances are that people are going to kind of like fight for it. This means that there is a better virality factor for the company. So do you think that's something that you can probably add to it, because you already have a partial feature? But if you add a leaderboard, I think this becomes like an absolute winner.
Yeah, it's a great question. So with that viral functionality, actually adding a board to it so that, you're actually showing who's actually winning, it becomes a little bit more competitive. That's a great feature. Shouldn't actually be something that should be too challenging for us to do. It's definitely something we'll put into our roadmap, and then we can kind of vote for it. So anybody who kind of goes into our platform, you can click the button here and then suggest new things for our roadmap at any time. So we've actually used our own platform as our kind of roadmap feature and things like that as well. So here you can add in kind of anything that you want, any features or anything that you'd like to see in the platform, and then people can kind of vote on them directly from there as well. We've just added this in recently. So definitely it's something that we'll add tomorrow as kind of a as a new part to the roadmap. Great thought, actually, Udit. It's a very, very cool idea. I'll just wait on Adam to kind of provide that translation example, but just to kind of explain it as we're talking, what that multi-language functionality does do is that it does actually translate all of the stuff in the form. So if you guys remember when I was talking about the form here, for example, if you have, for example, here set up in, let's just say in Hindi, and then you go to the data form and then you put in first name, it will actually translate the first name field into Hindi. That's how the translation works, if that makes sense. The form becomes the actual language that you've selected. Does that all make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, cool. Okay, cool, guys. That's basically everything from a demo side. We'll jump back into the platform a little bit later on. But again, just to kind of summarize very quickly, why would you choose Campaignware over, kind of other products and things like that? Oh, just one other thing I'll mention as well. In terms of integrations, yeah, at the moment we support Zapier. I know that quite a few people have been asking for Pabbly. It's something we'll definitely look into a little bit further as well. So it took us a little while to do the Zapier integration, but now that we've done it, it should be a lot easier for us to add other platforms as well. So Pabbly is one that we'll definitely look into. There's obviously Integrately and a few others as well. So this is something we'll definitely look into a little bit further. But for now, yeah, Zapier is kind of the key one that we do support. But again, just to talk about Campaignware and why you'd use it. One of the main reasons that we find customers use our platform and other platforms, because one thing that we do see in one of the common kind of objections and questions that we have is that, hey, I've got 3 or 4 different products that do, some of them do forms, some of them do surveys, some of them do competitions, some of them do polls and things like that. But the thing about Campaignware is that it does something that, like, essentially, you'd have to use 10 different pieces of software just to use, kind of to do everything you can do in Campaignware. So if you're doing this for the first time, we are the absolute best fit for you, because you can replace 10 different software services with just one by using Campaignware. So it's really, really great for that. Or even if you're just looking at using one product instead of using 10, again, our platform covers so much scope that there's really no other product like it on the market. And by that, I mean, things like quizzes, trivia, surveys, polls, user-generated content competitions, which is extremely rare to find, especially products at our price point. There is no other product that does, user-generated content competitions like ours do. So this one's unbelievably rare to be able to find. Competitions, NPS surveys, spin and wins, as you guys would have seen. There's just so much that we do. So we've got such a unique kind of fit in the market there. And that's something that I kind of highly recommend. Our data capture conversion rates are unbelievable. In a lot of cases for a lot of our sort of larger clients, we've seen them getting, sort of conversion rates on their data capture forms at like 60%. Just, things that you probably wouldn't even believe if I told you. But it's just kind of the way that our platform is working, the way that we've actually built all of our campaigns as essentially mini funnels themselves. The conversion rates can be unbelievably high. It's all no code, as you would have seen there before. There is a tiny bit of code if you want to add it. We've got a CSS panel if you wanted to use it, but that's really the maximum. Only what I'd say probably less than 1% of our customers use it. But it is there if you need it. If you ever want to customize CSS and things like that, you've got that ability to do that stuff as well. Integrations and social sharing built in. Again, our social sharing is getting a complete overhaul. That'll be coming out hopefully later this week. So it'll be even better than it is currently. And then you've obviously got integrations via Zapier at the moment, but Pabbly and things like that, it is something we'll be looking at. The more people that sign up for PitchGround, the more likely we're going to add in Pabbly sooner. So I would recommend, guys, that if you do want to see Pabbly quickly, jump on board and then we'll kind of add it in sooner than later. At the moment, yeah, we're kind of thinking about it, but the more people that we have on board and the more people who are actually customers of ours that are looking for it, the more that the faster we'll bring it out to market. So that's kind of the way that one works. Multi-language, as I mentioned to you before, these are some of the reasons why you'd look at using Campaignware. Obviously, a lot more than that. But one thing that we'll jump into really quickly is a really good example of actually how you use content like ours all the way through the funnel, right? And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be Campaignware. I'm not just here to sell you on our product. Obviously, guys, I really want to provide you with a lot of value today. But I just wanted to show you an example of how a funnel can work here and how we've seen customers using funnels kind of all the way through. So using our content all the way through the different kind of funnel. This is obviously a really simplified funnel. Obviously, we have things like the pirate funnel and things along those lines, but this is just a really simple, basic kind of version of a funnel that we wanted to share with you guys today, where we've got things like first interactions, data capture, follow-ons, making a sale, and then obviously kind of referrals. So just a really simplified sort of funnel. Kind of coming back to, I suppose, one of the first questions, in terms of kind of how you actually push this, whether it's to social or even kind of driving through landing pages and things like that. Here are some really simple ways to be able to kind of do that sort of thing. So, for example, if it's a first interaction or, kind of getting somebody into your funnel, generally we find that Campaignware is a great way to be able to do that, but maybe social posts, paid search, or whatever you're currently doing in your funnel could be a better way to actually get them through that funnel as well. So you've got those two options. You can either use our platform, or you can use what you're currently doing. If it's working really well, get them into the funnel, drive them to, for example, whether it is a landing page, whether it is a blog piece, a blog post, something along those lines that kind of has one of our campaigns directly embedded into it. that can kind of work really well. So drive traffic however you're driving it. If it's working for you right now, then that's great. If it's not working for you, then test and learn. Maybe you have traffic that's working directly that works really, really well. Maybe it's through affiliates, maybe it's through sort of guest posts, whatever the case may be, kind of figure that bit out that works best. And obviously we can help you there as well. Then use one of our pieces of content, for example, like the product finder or the spin and win or something along those lines as a way to actually capture data. You're using that value exchange, that's kind of built into our platform to be able to do that really, really well. Then follow on. This is the bit that we sort of generally say that this is kind of where you're best equipped to be able to do what you need to do. So you may already have a marketing automation flow set up. You may be using your own product to do that, autopilot. Maybe it's, sort of Sales Navigator, whatever the case may be. So not Sales Navigator, Marketing Cloud or something along those lines to be able to do that. If you've got an SMS and email chain, landing pages, all that kind of stuff set up, then obviously you want to kind of use our data to be able to flow through to that and then kind of drive them directly through your automation process directly that way. If you don't have that, then that's totally fine as well. Using our platform, you can send an automated email as well, or you can actually kind of add them via the integration directly into your email list and then kind of follow on from them there. But however you choose to follow on with them is totally up to you. This is the part where we kind of say, okay, well, this is where you've already got that set up. So we don't really kind of get too involved in this sort of process, if that makes sense. But when you're going through this process, for example, like maybe, kind of in the third sequence, if in the third, kind of interaction in your sequence, maybe then you actually kind of bring them back into another piece of content. So it could be, like a discount code off provider or something along those lines, another piece of content that we have in our platform that you can use to actually kind of promote the sale. Then after the sales happen, maybe you're actually getting that person on a post-sale quiz. Maybe you're trying to get them to make a repeat purchase. Maybe you're trying to actually capture a review or get some user-generated content from them, which you can actually build as social proof into the top of your funnel as well. So you're using that happy customer, getting some content off them, finally, a review, again, some UGC, something along those lines, then being able to add a social proof to actually add to the top of your funnel. So that's kind of how you complete the flow. Okay. This is a really simple example here. Nimbus Co. is an example of a client of ours. They run a range of infrared saunas all around Australia now. They've turned over into kind of like seven figures of revenue now. They're doing very, very well. And they've kind of used our platform all the way through the funnel to be able to capture data, then being able to grab it at the end of it and kind of run them through that process. Really great example of kind of how they've done that as well. Just a few other really simple case studies for you guys as well before we kind of open up a little bit more into some Q&A and things along those lines as well. This is another example of ours, a small record store just based in a market. So a really cool example of kind of, again, sort of how content can be used for any type of business. Again, you don't have to be digitally led. This is a company that works out of a market store, right? They used our platform as their very first ever digital experience. They used our platform before they even had their own website, right? They were driving directly through to, to an Instagram page. Just a really simple setup. They had a QR code, kind of just on an A4 page directly at the marketing store, at their market store. Scan that, you kind of have a simple offer, being able to kind of fill this out. They're trying to grab a little bit more information of what type of music that you like. Again, with that opt-in, click submit, and then the call to action there is just to like us on Instagram. Really simple campaign. They built their database into 1K in 6 weeks, and this is out of a freaking market store, guys. So if you can do it from there, you can kind of do it anywhere. Really, really great example. And then from here, we've got all the way through to, we're talking about the big boys, again, sort of, Manchester United using our platform with Sports Breaks, which is one of their sponsors, providing, kind of sporting tours all around the world as well. Here, you can see here a user-generated content wall as well. So that's, again, kind of one of the great features about our product and about our company as well, is that not only do we work really, really well with smaller companies and smaller industries, but we have experience and we have, the infrastructure and the robust system to be able to work all the way with, the biggest sporting club on planet Earth, as an example. So hopefully that will also provide a little bit of trust and a little bit of kind of kind of integrity from our platform as well, that it's stable and kind of well featured and robust enough to work with some of these really, really, really big brands. So, that's a little bit more confident, I'd say, in terms of buying confidence. But yeah, these guys as well, kind of this campaign's only been live for 6 days. They've had hundreds of, kind of video, photo, and message submissions. This is what I was talking about in terms of user-generated content. people uploading photos, videos, text, things like that, and then being able to provide an opt-in as well. There's loads of solutions out there that will capture this data from social networks, from Instagram, from Twitter, and things like that. The problem with that, and even using Facebook polls and things like that, is that you can never, ever capture the data, right? If people are sharing on Instagram, how are you going to capture that person's email address? It's impossible. So this is where using our platform works out really well, is because they can still take the photo on their camera roll, then upload it here. And you also have, kind of complete control over if any inappropriate messages, any inappropriate content is actually hitting your wall. So you actually have that layer of security in our platform as well to be able to do it. So really great from that side as well. Cool. That's all. I think I've covered everything from the demo. So I'll kind of just skip through that one a little bit, unless anybody has any questions. I can take a break here as well, guys. If anybody has any other questions, more than happy to kind of go through and kind of get through. We're kind of getting towards sort of the middle part of our presentation today. So anybody has any questions, anybody wants to see anything deeper dive into our platform, more than happy to kind of do that now.
Awesome. I think there are a lot of questions already coming in. I think AJ has been already answering them.
Oh, cool. Okay.
We'll still take some of those questions though, because I think it's always good to sort of like show them and talk about them rather than just answering them, because this way everyone gets to see that, right? Praful is already saying that he's absolutely loving it. Praful, we look forward to your support with this. I'm pretty sure you're going to end up getting Campaignware after this. Moving forward to some of the critical questions. There's one question from Praful is asking, any white label or sub-account possibilities?
Yeah, absolutely. So as part of the PitchGround deal, I think it's in the plan D, you have the white label functionality. So you can just remove the Campaignware branding. Absolutely. You can definitely do that. So it's available in our higher plans or even in our agency plans. So I think it's plan D and plan E that have the white label functionality for you to be able to kind of access.
Awesome. And for someone who wants to sort of like resell it, Adam, so let's say that they don't want to build this, right? But they just want to go ahead and start reselling it. What about them?
So resellers, actually, kind of most agencies that use our platform resell. So that's a very, 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 very common use case for us. You're more than welcome to do that. You can either do that in two ways. So you can either purchase the agency plan and then create campaigns on the client's behalf, and then let them essentially, kind of take the benefit. If you're buying the agency plan and the agency plan has 5 different, you get 5 different logins. So in that way, each client has their own access. You can give them access just so they can access their own reports and things like that. It makes your life as an agency owner very, very easy. And it also keeps everyone's data clean. So that way you don't have a muddle and a mess of data, between like 5 different, 5 different brands all in one account. You can do that if you want to, but we find that it doesn't generally work that well. I actually have a background in agency. I actually come from a digital agency background myself. So I built this with kind of agencies directly in mind. I'm not sure if that answers the question, but I think I did hear something about, if you don't want to build a campaign, then how does that work? Was that the question that you asked that we did?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah. Look, we can always help with kind of creating campaigns. We're happy to kind of help set up a couple, kind of like, sort of 2 or 3 campaigns just to kind of get you rolling with that. If you just don't ever want to create campaigns yourself and you want to outsource that, you can always let us know, and we can either do that with you for a small fee, or we can even refer you to somebody who might be interested in actually creating those campaigns for you as well. So yeah, generally we've created the platform to be as simple enough that you can kind of go through it in like 5 minutes and just create the campaign. You can either give the client the ability to create the campaign themselves, or at least access the platform, and then you essentially just kind of license the platform directly that way, or you can give it to us and we can kind of help you to actually get that created as well. So it's totally your call in terms of how that wants to work.
Oh, great. So Adam, there's one more question coming in from people. They're asking what sort of a category of current campaigns are already sort of pre-built right now. So for example, category can be SaaS, for an example, right? Or it can be a food delivery app, or it can be a real estate, right? So how many of those categories are currently covered, and how often do you guys release new templates in general?
Look, it's a really great question. So at the moment, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different categories in the platform. The one thing that I'll say about that, though, is that even though we have the industries kind of laid out, there is a lot more that you can do than just the industry. So for example, what we would recommend that you do is either look by goal or kind of look by experience. And I heard the word food delivery there. Adam, do you want to maybe mention the campaign that we were doing with Deliveroo, the university one? I think that would be quite a good example, because that was a campaign that was just run off our platform, and it was, again, for food delivery, but something that was very different. It kind of didn't fit into any of these boxes. So there's a lot of kind of wiggle room that you can use within these campaigns as well. Adam, do you want to chat about that one a bit?
Yeah, you can actually you can jump in and share that kind of one of the campaigns if you search Deliveroo.
Okay, cool.
So this is obviously from our account, so it doesn't have any actual performance data in there.
Do you know which one it was?
I think V2 was the latest one. This campaign was very, very similar to the quiz campaign that there you go. So this was a gamified quiz. It was targeting university students and trying to get them to encourage them to sign up as a driver, as some kind of part-time income for university students. Very similar to the digital escape room format that quite a few of you would have gone through earlier in the webinar. And yeah, super simple. Something like this can be, we've already got a template already set up for it, so you can go in, drop on your own branding, change the questions. You can see it's all enabled with GIFs to make it that a little bit more engaging, a little bit more interactive.
Awesome. Coding is not at all required. Definitely, you do not need to know any sort of code. You can just get going right away.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just gonna try and find this example of the form for you just while we're talking. I'm not sure if that's there you go. See, so you remember how we were talking before about how the actual form gets translated?
So is it based out of like any sort of IP that you guys detect that, hey, if that's the IP, you're going to show it in a
No. So the way it works is that you have to essentially kind of create the campaign directly in that language.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's where my question was coming in. That is there a possibility where, let's say, that I can create one campaign, but I can create it in 10 different languages.
10 different languages, yeah.
I can in the drop down, like just like how Facebook has at the footer, right? Just that was the specific question.
Yeah, understood. So just here, for example, like a button that you can click with kind of all the different languages and things like that. Yeah,
I think I probably have like two suggestions over here that can really differentiate Campaignware as compared to any other platforms out there. First would be this multilingual, especially in the same form, where you don't have to create like 10 different forms. And second would be a potential sort of IP detection, if it's possible, where if the IP sort of comes in, right, then you have the ability to set up to show like a local language for that specific country. So let's say that if I want to promote it to the world, right? So let's say I want to focus on the tier 1 countries. Now I want to focus on Germany, I want to focus on France, and I want to focus on US. So that's 3 different languages. So as soon as someone clicks on my ad, if I'm running that specific campaign right away, it sort of like shows, hey, would you like to see it in Italian or English or German or English? So this way what's going to happen is that people by default, they always prefer to sign up any sort of form in the local language as compared to any kind of second language in general. And that usually helps to increase the number of potential people who's going to go through the entire form. So the number of potential leads, I feel, would definitely go up drastically if
it's a great question. So and the reason why adding an IP detect is actually we've already looked into this, and it's very straightforward to do. What we wanted to do was make sure we had kind of a little bit more of a critical mass of languages first before we did it. Because right now we've got 10, which is great. It's still 10 more than anybody else has in the market. But until we add in, like you said before, Italian and French and kind of all the other languages there that we can, because again, we've gone down the route of doing human-based translation and not going down an auto translate route where, obviously there's a lot of problems there that can occur when you have, essentially an AI kind of translating things for you. Because we've gone through that route, we want to make sure we've got a bit more on there. But I think just being able to add a drop down to be able to do that, that's definitely something we'll definitely be adding that feature in this year. It's not a question of if, it's just a question of when. So that's definitely one that we'll be looking at. And then kind of come through the future, when we've added maybe another 10 languages to it, then adding an IP auto detect would be very, very straightforward to do, because we're going to cover enough of the globe to be able to do that and to do it well, if that makes sense. So we'll definitely look at that one in 2 stages. But yeah, it's already in our roadmap. We've already looked at it before. We just wanted to kind of have a little bit more. We wanted to kind of have a few more languages on there before we sort of really investigated that one a bit further. But great thought. Really great thought.
Great. So I'm going to dive into some of the Q&As right now before we take up more dive into the product itself. So there's one question coming in from Ranveer. He's asking, is there an inbuilt email verification feature available to verify users' email through something like OTP? So for example, I could be filling the form and I could just enter a wrong email.
Yeah.
I just want to go through it to see what's happening, but I'm just going to enter wrong.
Yeah, that's a great question. The short answer is no. We don't have one, but we would definitely be open to doing something like that. I guess we just need to figure out. The short answer is that I don't know of a service that we can use to plug something like that in. No, but if you have a suggestion, then I'm really.
So I think what you can possibly do over here is just like anytime anyone signs up for your platform and you send an email asking them to verify the email, right?
Yes.
So I think what we can possibly do is add a small checkbox option that, hey, at the end of the survey, send out an email to verify your email. I don't want to interrupt them, right? I don't want to interrupt them at the beginning because they're already in the flow. I don't want to break their flow. But at the very end, right, once they've filled out the entire form, we can send out a two-way sort of authentication, an email that, hey, thank you so much for submitting the form. Click on this button to verify that it was you who filled out the form. Something like that, right? Something just as simple as
a double verification.
Yeah,
that's a great one. Yeah, we already have the functionality where you can send a thank you for entering email. You can already do that in our platform very easily. So here it's just the email template.
It's going to be a small sort of addition to that.
Yes, correct. Yeah, just a double opt-in basically. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great thought, and that's something that we'll probably look at fast tracking into our roadmap. But I guess it's something that we would have to actually add into our analytics panel, just kind of a box to say that this person's been double verified. So that is a phenomenal idea, something that we'd be very interested in doing.
I also have one more suggestion, Adam. Again, I don't know if it's too complicated to implement.
Adam, I hope you're writing these down.
So we have this in recording, so you don't have to. You can always go back and check this. So I have one more suggestion that this is again going to improve the quality of the leads drastically. Is in the form when people are asking when we are asking people to enter an email, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we show them an option for Google or for?
Sign up. So social sign in. We are looking actually with kind of one of our partners. So we have an affiliate partner in Europe that we work with some of the largest sports teams with. They've asked us for an SSO option. So if we do end up implementing the SSO, then we will be adding in sort of a sign in with Google, sign in with Facebook option. The reason, just to answer the question now though, the reason why we don't do it is because generally we find that customers will want to add in additional fields, things like postcode, phone number, and other things that you can't capture directly from Google or Facebook or whatever. So what would happen there is that if you click, sign in with Facebook, yes, you get the name and you get the email address and you may get a few other data points, but the ones that you already have in there, like let's just say, for example, if you had a drop down or something like that, they won't obviously be filled out via the social sign-in. So you'll have a second form to fill out, right? To capture those final data points. So the user experience is not as good as just kind of getting the form filled out, but it's something we are looking into. We just have to figure out the best way to be able to do it first. It is definitely on our roadmap at the moment because we're working on it with a partner of ours, but we just don't have the right solution for it just yet, if that makes sense. So definitely something that we're working on at the moment.
Makes sense. There's another question coming in. Does Campaignware support custom SMTP?
Does this support what, sorry?
Custom SMTP.
Oh, SMTP. Not yet. SMTP is something that, again, it's another feature that we've been asked from an agency point of view to add in custom SMTP, and that's for emails. That's for email forwarding, right?
Right. So this way, what's
Yeah.
going to happen is people will ensure that, hey, like the emails would
Yes,
not.
yeah, the email comes from your email domain. Literally next week we'll be adding in actual, so you can add in your own domain via CNAME. But then after that, we'll be looking at SMTP directly from there as well, just to kind of do that. Because one of Adam's clients has been asking about that one recently. So it's something that's pretty high on our roadmap. It's something we'll be looking into probably in the next sort of month or two. So yeah, just watch this space for that one. It'll definitely be coming as an update.
Awesome, perfect. Gonna move to the next question. Will it be helpful for religious organization to run weekly quizzes or interactions and collect small donation at the end, just asking for a use case?
Adam, have we been asked about religious organizations recently? I feel like we have.
That's actually quite interesting, like
it really is. I feel like I've had this conversation with somebody recently, but short answer is absolutely. And so yeah, you can use the form of the quiz exactly how we showed you before. I kind of did the quick example there of that escape room. I'll just jump back into it, but then asking for the donation, I'll just show you really quickly how you can do that. Right. So the quiz, I kind of explained that one a little bit earlier. You kind of set that all up. That's all good. But there's a button here that you can add directly for, actually, sorry, no, it's a quiz. So it'll actually be in the results, wouldn't it? So here in the results, so, kind of like after you've actually entered the quiz and you get that, you can add what we call here a marketing button. So here you could add in donate $1 or whatever the denomination is, right? That's up to you. And then you can add a URL. So yes, you can actually add in a direct call to action straight after the quiz. So for religious organizations, absolutely, you definitely can do that. And that's kind of what I was talking about before, is that the different industries that we have here, they're very, very loose. You probably don't want to look at these. And, we're actually thinking of removing this entire industry column anyway, because it just doesn't seem to work the way that we thought that people would use it. Because, a religious organization, you could use that, you could use the lead qualifier or that quiz today if you wanted to, but just when people look at it, the perception is, oh, it doesn't do anything for religious organizations, so this product's probably not for me. But absolutely you can. I just showed you exactly how you could. So we're actually thinking of maybe even removing this entirely, because it just doesn't seem to do what we want it to do. I think it's a bit of it makes people think that our product does less than it actually does. So hopefully that answers your question. You absolutely can do it.
Awesome. So I'm just going to take over the screen for just a moment before we get started further. So guys, currently Campaignware is currently available on lifetime deal at PitchGround. It's an absolute no-brainer of a tool. You guys have already seen how robust it is. Currently, they are serving a lot of enterprises right now, but they want to start helping out small businesses. They want to start helping out you guys over here. And that's the sole reason why they decided to come and do this lifetime deal for you guys. So they have incredible reviews out there. You can check it out. I'm going to drop the link in the chat again, and very, very incredibly powerful platform. Give it a try before even signing up. If you want, just go and sign up for the platform. Try it out for yourself. Create your first form. And trust me, you guys will be really amazed. We took the feedback that you guys gave regarding leads. That's been sorted out right now. Yeah. Again, a very beautiful platform. You literally don't have to do anything. Just create your first form and get going. One of the best ways, again, to sort of like really identify where you can use this forms very effectively is just use Google Analytics. That's it. Go and see which are the pages where you're getting maximum traffic, where you have generated content, and just build a form and place it over there. Now, how in-depth you want the form to be, that will depend on you, because the more the number of layers, the more the questions, the better the quality of the lead, right? So if everyone has gone through, like, let's say 10 steps and then given you these details, they are ready to pay you. They're ready to take out the credit card and pay you. So make sure that you guys take advantage of that. It's an incredibly amazing piece of software. I'm going to dive back into Q&A with Adam meanwhile. So Adam, the next question is, it's from BL. BL is asking, please integrate payment gateways to collect payments after completing the quiz form. Any plans for that?
Yeah, great question. We haven't added in our own payment gateway yet. It's something we've thought about, but we haven't yet gone through that motion. I don't really, unlike some of the other things that we've talked about today, we don't have a concrete plan for this one just yet, because there are probably two ways that you can look at doing that right now anyway. So for example, if you use a PayPal button or something along those lines, you can actually embed the PayPal button directly into the campaign itself. Sorry, Udit, am I still sharing my screen? I'm not sure if I am.
No. So I took
no,
all the screen, now you can share back.
I'll just do one thing quickly. I'll just jump back into one of the campaigns. I'm just using PayPal as an example here. It may not be the gateway that you're thinking of, but I'm assuming that whatever gateway
I think most of the payment gateways today give you the option to embed regardless of whatever platform that you use.
Yeah, correct. And so yeah, exactly. So instead of using like a discrete option in our platform, here in the WYSIWYG editor, for example, here I went into the social sharing tab, and this is the confirmation, like the thank you for entering page after you filled out the data capture. You can just add in here via the HTML. You can just drop in your own button for your payment gateway. So you can already do it. We don't need to implement it for you. And then that way we can kind of keep agnostic to, kind of having different payment platforms and gateways and things like that. If you're using Venmo, or if you're using, PayPal or whatever you want to use, you can just drop in a button directly from here. You don't even need us to be able to do that for you. So yeah, we highly recommend that you kind of use this feature here to be able to do that.
Awesome. There's a question coming in from Praful. Is asking what's a workspace and what's a team size?
Yeah, great question. So team size is, so for example, if you have an organization, let's just say, for example, if you're an agency and you have like five account managers to work for you, the team size would be for kind of having 5 of those people on there. So that's where that kind of counts in the deal. And if you want to have 5 different logins of 5 different people in your organization to be able to do that. Workspace is having 5 different actual, actually, hang on, wait, let me rephrase that. So here, I'm just going to log back into our system, and this will probably make a little bit more sense to be able to do it. So let's just say, for example, if you have, if your agency deals with 5 different organizations or 5 different clients, for example, here in our customers, you can see here that we've got West Tigers, Melbourne Storm, Melbourne Victory, Illawarra Hawks, and Epica Fleet Services. These are 5 different workspaces, right? Because these are actually 5 completely different accounts. All of that data is held completely separately, right? They're completely different accounts in our system. But let's just say, for example, that within West Tigers, there's 3 people in their organization that actually need access to Campaignware. So they would be what we call team seats. And then the actual workspace would be an actual completely individual account for them. That way, instead of, let's just say, for example, Epica Fleet Services, running campaigns for 5 or 6 of their clients directly through there, the challenge there is that all the data is stored in one account. The data can get a bit muddy. It's a bit harder to separate and things like that. So that's kind of where the workspaces come into play, if that makes sense, right? Completely different databases on our system. And then you can have, different people actually being able to log into those as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. Praful, in case if you have any follow-up questions, please to ask. Hugo is asking, is there a way you can share the presentation? So I think
yeah, absolutely.
I think one of the best ways we can do that, guys, just scan the URL over here, and anyone who has completed the form, I think Adam can just send out an presentation to them directly.
Yeah, please do. Actually, guys, I can do you one better than that. If you want access to the actual slides, just as part of this, there are a couple of things that we wanted to go through as well, but I'm sort of a little bit conscious of time. Kind of the 10 different ways to prove your email list. We've got exact examples of those right here. So we've got sort of 2 pages of 5 of each of those. And there was a little exercise that we wanted to kind of take people through a little bit as well to help you to actually draw out your own funnel. But you can do this in your own time. Something we'd highly recommend that you're doing. But kind of as part of this as well, we actually wanted to launch our exclusive, sort of Facebook community today called the Content Marketer Collective. So if you guys wanted to join that, I'd highly recommend joining it. There's a QR code here, or you can just jump on the bit.ly link and kind of do that there. If you guys can join that, we're happy to give away a $25 Amazon gift voucher today to one person. So if you guys can kind of join the Facebook group, share your number 1 challenge as well. And then from there, I'll be dropping in the slides directly into the Facebook group. So if you guys want to join from there, I'm more than happy to share the slides. So please join. It's a great community that we're going to be looking at doing, including our customers, and then even people throughout the public as well, being able to share their content marketing challenges, get advice directly from us, and then from the crowd as well. So if you guys actually want to use and join the Facebook group, just kind of hit that QR code there, and then I'll drop in the slides directly from there so you have access to them whenever you need them.
Awesome. Can you just share the link to the group real quick?
Yeah, Adam, can you just drop that in the chat?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks. Cool. Just scan the QR code, or just grab the link as well.
So Adam is saying that the QR code is not working on the laptop, so maybe just share the link.
Oh yeah, you've got to use the phone. Yeah, it can be a little bit difficult.
As we have just shared the link, feel free to join the group after this. So we'll also send out an email to you guys separately regarding joining the group at the same time, so that again, we're going to be posting a lot of case studies over there. We're going to be sharing a lot of guides and a lot of other stuff with you guys. So this is just the beginning. We're going to keep sharing a good data points with all of you guys. So this way, our entire goal is that you are much more aware of how to do things the right way. And at the same time, we're going to keep on sharing tips, strategies, and a lot of other things with you guys, because ultimately, if your business grows, we grow, right? And this is why we have a tagline, is fuel your business growth. That's what we focus on. With that, let's take up more questions, because we don't have much time, and we want to make sure that things end on time, because it's already, I think, 4:34, guys. So
yeah, that's all right. I mean, we're awake now, so we're happy to go.
Awesome. Let me take more questions. Shushant is asking for how long the LTD offer is open.
Good question. So we're at this moment in time, we were only planning to have this LTD open for 30 days. We're already about, I think, 2 weeks into it now. So it's not going to be open for very much longer, guys.
Take advantage of that. Don't wait for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
For it to get over, because if it's going to get over, it's really going to get over, right? So don't wait for that. Just take advantage of it right away.
Yeah, exactly. And as we did mention there before, this is an enterprise grade tool that we're providing for an absolutely astonishing price. So we highly recommend that you guys jump onto it, because, being able to use something that Manchester United use on a daily basis, that's something that doesn't come around very often. So, we'd highly recommend that you jump on this as quickly as you can.
Awesome. Moving on to the next question. Can I send a quiz, a completion certificate after submitting a quiz, and then send certificate according to the marks in quiz?
A quiz certificate, you actually probably could do that. You could do that. So if you created a quiz, if you created Canva or something along those lines, you could just jump into the email. Sorry, I'll just move the chat away. Krishna, I saw you there. I'll put you back onto that slide once I've just shown this feature. So here in the email template, again, it's not SMTP at the moment, but you can still definitely use it. If you created a certificate or something like that on Canva, you could just say here, for example, thanks for entering, here's your certificate. And then you can drop that in directly there as an image or as a link, or kind of whatever you want to do that. So yes, you actually can do that if you wanted to.
Oh, brilliant. Again, guys, take advantage of the deal. It's available on lifetime for a very limited period of time. Take advantage while it's still on there. Moving on to the next question. Please share more details on how do we protect inappropriate comments?
Oh, yeah, cool. Great question. So the inappropriate comments, so again, it's predominantly for the UGC. So what we call the content wall, because that's one of the main templates that we have, and the group of templates, I should say, because there's about 5 or 6 different versions of it in the template library, but they're all based on our content wall engine. So that's where people are uploading photos, videos, and that kind of stuff. Basically, what happens here is that it all goes into what we call content wall moderation. So you go into that feature there. This will load it all up. So I'll just bring that up here. I'm not sure what this one is. It might be a client's one. Actually, we'll just go into this one here. So yeah, just kind of a quick one there. Here you can see that these are the, you can see here that these are the entries. Sorry guys, I'm just moving around a little bit. Okay, well, this is an example. This is actually our own feature roadmap, right, that I'll kind of show you from here. So here you can see here, we added in our own roadmap here. So this is why these are all help at campaignware.com, because we wanted to sort of publicly disclose our own roadmap. But here, yeah, you can see the first name, last name, the comment that they made, kind of the category, all that kind of stuff. And then here, the asset, which is actually the content that they uploaded. So that could be the message, it could be the photo, the video, whatever it is, it shows up here. And then you can either accept it or reject it. If you reject it, it never hits the actual wall. It never shows up live. If you hit accept, then it will actually go through to the wall. Okay. So it's really as simple as that. It just comes through in this list. And then basically it kind of comes through this queue. Then as you want to accept it, you just hit the accept button. If you click reject, then it just never shows up at all. Okay. It's just as simple as that, really.
Awesome. I'm gonna move on to the next question from here. Can we use information captured during the quiz to send them to a page with that person's information? Example, I have a landing page that wants the address of the person to be keyed in. If I have the address, can autofill the address when I use the integration? Trying to phrase it in the best possible way.
I'm not really. I don't really understand the question, I'll be honest.
So let me, if I get this question correctly.
Yeah.
What Praful is trying to ask is it possible to sort of ensure that there is a way to sort of autofill the address? I suppose if I get it right.
Let me just double check. I think we may need to come back to you on that one.
I think most likely what happens is Google Maps provides you an ability. There's an API that's available where.
I see. Okay.
As soon as you come on that landing page, right, it just fills up that address. It just gives you, hey.
Yeah.
So that's what I think is asking for.
Yeah, we don't have a Google Maps API attached to this for address autofill, but if you've got the address autofilled in your Chrome or in your browser, then it will pick up that. Okay. So we're not picking it up directly from Google or kind of any other address, any other address autofill API. But if it is saved on the browser, then it will pick up that way. Does that make sense?
Awesome, perfect. So one more question: can I use dynamic data on result page like name, email, and phone number of the user?
Yeah. Name, email, phone number. Yeah, it's all there.
Okay, so that means that on the final page, I can show, hey, thank you, Adam, so much for signing up for this form. That's what he means.
Oh, right. So you actually
on the final thank you page, right? Instead of saying thank you so much for filling the form, I'm saying thank you, Adam, for filling.
Oh, right. Okay. No, we don't have that functionality yet.
Got it.
That's a very, very interesting thing.
Just
it's not something we've ever been asked for, actually. It's a good idea.
I think it just adds a bit of personalization for people.
Yeah, I get it.
Small touch, and I think it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, so, I guess the challenge there, just with that one, the challenge would be that you're only going to add the personalization at the very end of the campaign, not at the start of the campaign, because all of our data capture forms you would have seen happen kind of at the end of the actual campaign, right? Because that's how we've engineered the campaigns to actually capture data at the very end, because in that way, you're not creating a barrier for the person to enter the content, right? So, because if you put the form at the front, then the conversion rate is really, really, really low. That's why we recommend to people not use type form and things like that, where the form, you have to fill out the form first, and then then you get access to the content. Whereas in our platform, you get access to the content first, and then you fill out the form, and then that way your conversion rate skyrockets.
But is it possible to sort of like make the lead first?
We don't do it that way because the results are really, really poor. We can't tell you how much A/B testing we've done on this. And it's just not worth it for us to be able to offer the ability to do that, because in doing that, the actual performance of your content will drastically suffer. We have some templates that you can do that require a login and a password, which we haven't shown today, but you also get access to them as part of the LTD. Those are the only ones where you need to actually sign up before you actually kind of enter the content. But this is the best way to be able to do it, because we've spent thousands of hours testing this stuff, and actually kind of building it this way is the way to go. A lot of people think that, we capture the data first and then let the people enter the content, but it has to be the other way around. Otherwise, it just doesn't work.
Got it. Perfect. I think we've pretty much covered most of the questions. I think the rest of the questions have been answered by AJ, or else we had about 23 more questions. Let me just quickly see if.
Yeah, guys, if you do have questions, then honestly, please, we highly recommend dropping them in the Facebook group, because then we can answer to you directly. Okay. We're happy to go a little bit longer if you want to, but I'm assuming that everybody wants to get on with their day. It's probably pretty late for you guys are as well, but please do drop them in the Facebook group, and we're more than happy to start to answer them tomorrow. And obviously we'll drop in the slides for the presentation as well.
Perfect. So once again, guys, here is a link for the product. Take advantage of the deal. It's an absolute no-brainer of the deal. Take advantage of it. It's a fantastic piece of product. You will literally be able to make your money back in like just a week of usage. That's it. And then you have it for the rest of your life. Take advantage of it, guys. Again, the plans are brilliant. Here are all the plans. You can see the comparison at the very end. That will help you compare all of the plans that are out there. Depending upon your needs, you can grab whatever you want. If you're an agency, I think they have a brilliant agency plan. You would be able to sell it like crazily, because this is an enterprise grade product. You don't have to go out there and try to sell it for to a startup. You can go out there and just pitch it to a enterprise. The best part is that once you're done with the work with the enterprise, you can probably just keep that account and just move on to the next enterprise. You can also use it as a sort of a service, right? And just sort of like create a way for you to start generating an incredibly high amount of revenue out there. Take advantage of it. It's an absolute no-brainer. And if you guys are looking for discount, just head to PGVIP. It's a $119 yearly subscription, and you get 10% off right away for this. If you're looking for split pay as well, just let us know, and we would enable split pay option for you if you're buying the toppest plan out there. So again, take advantage of it, guys. It's again an absolute no-brainer of a product, brilliant piece of product. And again, the founders are incredible. They're putting their heart, soul into this product, and they are out there for you. The fact that it's 4:30 for them, it's 4:30 a.m. for them, by the way. They're based out of Australia. They're still here. They're trying to serve you. That speaks volume. That speaks about what kind of a product you're buying and from whom you're buying this product for. So if there are any other questions, please drop them in the comments or in the QA. We'll be more than happy to take up. And if not, then we will be moving forward. So Joginder is asking, do you save locations like country, state based on IP?
At the moment, we do country based. We are looking into actually kind of delving deeper into some of the AWS APIs to provide the kind of the city, the city, the state, and the other location as well. It's definitely a roadmap to kind of add that one in as well.
Awesome. One last question. So let's say that if someone drops off in between, do you guys save any sessions in local storage by any chance, so that you come back?
Yeah, look, that's a great question. I have to double check with our product team as well, but we do have a cookie that we do drop, just so that, and we do this actually for cheat restriction. I don't think that this is answering exactly the question that's been asked, but we don't save a session halfway through. So for example, if somebody enters a quiz halfway and then they can kind of come through it, because that's an incomplete data set. Until somebody actually saves and clicks submit, we don't save the data in our system. It's just not how our system operates, because we have no identifier for it.
So I have one suggestion over here, Adam. Maybe this could be helpful for you.
Yeah.
Let me know your thoughts. That let's say we can probably place a Google or Facebook Pixel, if possible. And if someone drops off, right, we can sort of start retargeting them and telling them that, hey.
Yes, you can 100% do that. Yeah. I think I showed in the demo that we had a location where you can drop in Facebook, Google Analytics, like basically just any kind of tag that you want to. So yes, as soon as somebody hits the page, you can fire your own tag, and then that way you can retarget them. I thought you meant if somebody enters like 20% of the quiz and then they leave and then they come back again, do they start from the 20%?
Yeah, it was both. It was both. Like it was.
Yeah, so you can definitely fire the Facebook pixel or the analytics tag. You can 100% do that, but just not the halfway point from our side, because we don't save the data in our system until they've actually clicked the submit form.
Do you think it's going to be smart to just save it in the local storage? So this way,
yeah, it might be. It's something that we can look at. It's not something we've ever been asked before, but it's something we can definitely look into. The other thing I was going to say is that we do have another feature that is actually very, very important that we haven't talked about yet, which is cheat restriction. So if somebody enters a campaign, then we can actually turn on a cookie that it stops them from entering again. So that way you can stop DDoS attacks and things like that as well. So we have things like that as well that you can do in the platform to stop people from just ramming your form full of spam information and things like that. So you can enable features like that too.
Awesome. Again, guys, take advantage of the deal. It's an absolute no-brainer. The deal we have already dropped in the link. I'm going to drop in again. I think it's now time to sort of announce some winners. Okay, so whoever uses the fire emoji wins a free code of Campaignware. So let's see who is the first one who actually uses it. Praful, you used the wrong emoji. Okay, so we have Twin. Twin, you have just won a free code of Campaignware sponsored by PitchGround. So just send out your email to me right away in the chat so that I can ask the team to add the code into your account. Perfect. Okay, so Adam, this is sort of a ritual that we do all the time in every single webinar, where we ask the founder to pick up one best question of the day that has been asked throughout the webinar, and that person sort of wins a base code for that particular product. So which, according to you, was an absolute no-brainer of a question that made you think a lot, basically?
This is testing my memory now. I've been asked a lot of questions. I'm not sure, but I feel like Praful's questions, like he asked a lot of questions, right? And some really good ones as well. So I'm going to go with him. I can't remember one specifically, but I feel like I know that I answered probably a lot of his questions.
Awesome.
Prashant,
so just reach out to me. You know where I'm located. So just send out your email to me, and I'm more than happy to add your add the code to your account, guys. With that, we're going to be wrapping up this session. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned. The recording is going to be available in the next 24 hours. It's going to be uploaded in the same landing page, and we're going to send out an email to all of you guys at the same time. And again, take advantage of the product. If you guys know someone from your friends, colleagues who can take advantage of this particular product and deal, it can help them, please do recommend them. We have a partnership program available where you can get up to 25% on every single sale that you're recommending. So take advantage of that at the same time. And in case if you still have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at any point of stage. I'm dropping in my email. Adam, if you can also drop in your email, that would be fantastic. You can reach out to our support at any point of stage at the same time. Awesome. I think you probably gave the email to only the host.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so thank you so much everyone for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, we're going to be posting all the details, and we're going to be coming back with yet another webinar very soon. Until then, thank you everyone. Thank you so much, both the Adams, for coming by this late, and I hope you guys enjoyed and loved all the question, and hopefully we'll get all the support from you guys. And I think Praful has already said that he's getting the agency plan. So congratulations, Praful, on that. We look forward to all the support from the rest of the people. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Guys.